And now to our central question tonight. Does this hack on Sony Pictures and the U.S. response signal a watershed moment that could determine the future of free speech in America? Is it quite that big? Alan Dershowitz is a Harvard law professor, renowned constitutional lawyer, and one of the nation's most passionate free speech defenders. How huge is it?
It's very big. I use the term, it's the Pearl Harbor attack on the First Amendment. The head of North Korea did something no American president can do. He censored an American film based on its content. And if you can censor a film by hacking, what happens when the New York Times or the Washington Post or Fox News does something that disturbs North Korea or Iran? Will they hack and will they force you to close down? This is the beginning of a cyber war that can go on indefinitely and can really place our First Amendment in danger.
It is not the first time we have seen folks censored, even in this country, though, based on their political speech. And what comes to mind is cartoons about the Prophet Muhammad.
Right.
Not to mention that guy out in L.A. who did that film bashing the Prophet Muhammad that they linked to these protests in Egypt and elsewhere. He got arrested on a different violation, but that's the only guy who went to jail for a long time in that protest matter.
The important thing to remember is the only reason we can't go after North Korea is because it has nuclear weapons. Now, this is a lesson about Iran. Iran is much more dangerous than North Korea. They want to censor everything. They're the ones who put out the fatwa to kill Salman Rushdie. They're the ones who threatened to kill the people on the cartoons. Imagine Iran with a nuclear weapon, what that would do to American liberty and American freedom, because we could never do anything to prevent them from flexing their nuclear muscles.
It is a slippery slope we're starting to go down here, and this is really the first sort of big launch by another government on an American, not corporation, but American interests in shutting down this movie. So what, if it's at that level, what, if anything, should our government be doing? Well,
first, let me tell you what Sony and the motion picture industry should have done. When Salman Rushdie was threatened with death, all the publishers got together and said, we're going to jointly confront this censorship. We're going to jointly publish the book. What should have happened is all the Hollywood studios should have said, we're going to give up our profits on this. We're going to jointly distribute this film over the internet so that hundreds of millions of people all over the world can see what North Korea doesn't want you to see. That would have really stuck it to the North Koreans and would have told them, you cannot fool around with American liberty.
You know why they're not doing that? Because they're worried what happened to Sony is going to happen to them.
Of course.
And then all the private emails that are at these other movie companies are going to get released. And there's still a question right now in this country about whether the real reason Sony gave these movie distributors permission, soft permission not to run it, was because of their fear of an attack as threatened in an email, or their fear of this Christmas Day surprise where they promised the worst emails yet that they had unearthed from Sony.
Or because they were afraid of financial concerns. That is, the movie was going to be a failure without this. Their insurance covers it if they cancel the whole thing, but if they put it online, the insurance doesn't cover it. Look, companies like Sony have an obligation not only to their stockholders, but they are holders of our First Amendment freedom. And they have to put First Amendment issues and freedom of speech first, even if it means that their profits are in danger.
They have been hamstrung. I mean, they have their tail between their legs right now because they have been publicly humiliated with these internal emails being released. Even though those are embarrassing, they are victims. I mean, they are victims of these hackers.
And Sharpton is exacerbating the problem.
Of course, and you got to go kiss his ring now if you say something that's perceived. I mean, this woman did say some racist comments, but she's got to go kiss his ring? Really? Okay. That's a whole other matter. But should our government be getting, they're talking, I was surprised to hear the language today out of the government talking about this as a national security member, a subject of numerous daily meetings convened at the White House, the Homeland Security advisor saying senior members of the intelligence community, Homeland Security, military, diplomatic, law enforcement are meeting about this.
But it's all talk. What can we do? They have nuclear weapons that can reach Tokyo, that can reach South Korea. What are we going to do? They don't trade with us.
Right, we already don't have diplomatic relations with them.
We can put the names of their officials on lists so that they can't travel around the world. They are an isolated small country, and they're holding our freedoms hostage. We have to figure out a way of dealing with that, and that's why I think it's very important for the private sector to get involved and say, we won't let you have a victory. We're going to send this film out to everybody to see. More people will ever see it. It will backfire. You know, I once had a client a long time ago who had a very unsuccessful film, and he tried to hire me to get it to be censored so that more people would want to watch it. That's the answer.
Yeah.
If you try to censor our films in America, we're going to send them free so everybody can see them. That's that's the right way to respond.
Interesting. That'll send quite a message, and it will also raise some questions about some of these other.
And I got to worry about my own website now. Having said that,
don't worry, they're not going to come get you. Come on, Professor Dershowitz, great to see you.
Thank you.